Hey guys, Bear Grylls here, and I am on a little island off the Welsh coast in the UK. Look at this, beautiful at the moment. And I'm back with my friends at Vanity Fair. We've done this before where we review some survival clips and show how realistic or not they are. And we're taking it out to the next level. Check this out. So this is life of Pi after he's been stranded at sea trying to catch food. First of all, good job, respect. I mean, that's a big old fish to pull out of the sea. And as a survivor at that stage, you're pretty desperate. But the thing to remember in survival, good advice is go hungry, because your priority really is water, not food. You can survive 3 weeks without food, but only 3 days without water. So priority is to source water and conserve water, whether that's going to be rainfall or water you've already got, or urine if you're well hydrated. Good job for him for catching that fish. Then the game is, how do you make it last? You know, he wants to be cutting thin slithers of that off and then drying it, so you're getting salted fish. And generally in survival, fortune favors the brave, and he had to be brave to land that one. So good job. So this is all is lost, and Robert Redford trying to attract attention in his raft by lighting a signal fire at night. First of all, to do a signal fire on a little rubber raft like that at night is a high risk strategy, but it's actually probably the right one to do. The problem is that goes in movie magic from a little fire to suddenly a huge fire in the blink of an eye. And the reality is that's going to be unlikely to happen. You're going to be soaking wet. You're going to have water swilling around in the bottom of that raft. It's very unlikely to suddenly turn into an uncontrollable fire. But if that's all you've got in that raft and you don't want to take the risk of that, he could have also, it was Mill Pond and that clip, he could have floated that little box just off to the side of his raft and built the fire and then floated it away. So it definitely can't rage out of control, because as you saw, when it does go out of control, he's in a lot of trouble. That's the end of his raft, or end of his chance of survival. But hey, desperate times, desperate measures, and I think he made the right call. He just didn't concentrate hard enough to contain the fire. So this is from The Edge. Anthony Hopkins being chased down by an angry grizzly. First thing is, choose your battles in the wild. Don't take on a big grizzly like that. Bears are especially dangerous when they're with their young, or if they're fornicating, don't disturb them then, or when they're feeding. Also, if they're surprised, you know, they're a bit like us as humans. Nobody likes to be disturbed doing any of those things. So if you come across a bear, back away slowly. Don't be a threat to it. There was a classic story not so long ago of a polar bear attacking people. It was pretty uncommon, and basically it turned out that the polar bear had really bad toothache and was trying to ease its toothache by chewing on this guy's skull. But the key is with survival, you're not going to beat a grizzly with your strength. You need to beat it with your brains. And finally, Anthony Hopkins gets smart and realizes fire is man's best weapon. You not only cook with it and boil water and make food and stay warm and all of that, you can also deter predators. And that's what he cottons onto. And fire, it would definitely work against bears. But maybe he had food in his camp. And if you've got a really hungry bear and you've got food in your camp, even fire, you know, will be some deterrent, but not 100%. So if you're ever camping and you got food, make sure you put the food and any waste food far away from your camp, and you store any of your other food up a tree in a bag, and then you won't get in that situation. So we're about to see The Grey with Liam Neeson when he ends up on the wrong end of a fight with a very angry wolf. Thing about wolves, human attacks by wolves are actually very rare. Having said that, they are incredibly efficient hunters. They will track and stealth follow their prey over huge distances, and they will work as a pack. If they are really desperate and you are vulnerable and bleeding and dying, that would be a signal to a pack of wolves. With regards to how good it is to fight like that, hey, listen, survival is all about being resourceful and adaptable and coming up with smart ways of using things. It looked like he had a knife there and some bottles. I'm not sure about trying to gaffer tape the bottles, broke bottles to your knuckles. I think you're probably better off having a knife in one hand and a bottle in the other and breaking it. So it's like a, stabbing thing is less likely to come off. You can control it better, get it into the eyes if you need to, rather than just having it on your fist. But I think the idea of being tracked and hunted by one wolf is unrealistic and very, very uncommon. Okay, so this is Into the Wild, where Chris thinks he's got lucky by getting this huge moose as a source of food. The thing is, people think in survival, I'm hungry, I need to go out for the big game. But actually, the key to survival is not hunting the big game, because you're going to use up a lot of energy. You're going to have a lot of risk to try and kill a moose like that. And if you are successful, then you got this problem. You got all this food. You're not going to be able to eat all that amount in one go unless you really know what you're doing. It's pretty hard actually smoking accurately a lot of meat like that. So it preserves for a long period of time. So the great survivors are always foragers. What I mean by that is they're always after the bugs and the grubs and the berries and the roots and the worms, rather than trying to catch a massive buffalo or moose or whatever. For exactly this reason, by the time you get to dealing with it on your own and cooking it is going to spoil very fast. There are things you can do. You can smoke meat, but it's a laborious, actually pretty technical process. So you're much better off going for the grubs, the worms, the berries. So this is from the film Jungle with Daniel Radcliffe, where he has a full-on battle with a little larvae. This is where Daniel Radcliffe starts pulling out a bit of larvae that's burrowed into his forehead. It's actually a botfly, and they lay their larvae inside, and then there's a protected place for the larvae to grow, and then they'll eventually burrow out and fly away. They're not actually harming you. He's trying to pull it out. They hang on pretty tight. He's fighting what looks like a gargantuan battle, trying to pull this thing out. A good way of getting them out is you just put a little bit of Vaseline or something, because they have like a snorkel antenna that goes out to breathe from. Even though they're under the skin, they'll stick their snorkel out to be able to breathe, and then all their eggs will be laid inside, and then those larvae will grow. But if you starve it of oxygen, you cover it with a little bit of Vaseline stuff. Often then they'll start to appear on their own, and then you can pull them out. If it does get it out, eat it though. That is great protein. Okay, guys, so there you go. The realities of survival when compared to the movies. Although movies are getting better and they're getting smarter and they're doing their research better. And I like to see that. Stay safe out there. Remember, all survival can be summed up in 3 words. Never give up.